several times, how did I get into graphics design? And I can tell you the story. I've never typed it out. And I'm going to show you how to do that basically without typing. So you can take any memory you got, put it into a Word document, use some AI to help you make sure it crafts well for reading. I tend to be a very good storyteller. I can elaborate pretty much onto anything really, really well, but that doesn't always translate into the written word for me. Luckily, tools like AI and OpenAI, all of those, the Chat GPTs, they're very good at crafting words. And so if you just get even the bulk of it, then you can end up using AI to kind of fill in the gaps. So I'm going to show you how to do this, and I've turned on my accessibility. I'll have some other videos on how to necessarily use accessibility for helping, but in this particular one, voice control is very helpful here because it allows for dictation. Um, it's it's going to pretty much just listen to you and type what you talk. So that's where the power of AI will come in, and we'll go ahead and get this started and kind of see where it goes. All right, give it a second. Hello, testing. Testing, testing, testing. There it goes. Okay, so in this case, I do have it going to the MacBook. It's listening, voice control. You can do settings in here, and the one that you can come in here and configure all of this. You can add your own custom commands. You can add your own vocabulary dictionaries. You can make sure to import and export. I do have to say this can cause some problems if you have applications open in the background and you're saying things like tap or click or things like that, because voice control is designed to do that. We'll see if we can get it to close this window. Close open window. See that? So suggested commands, it says close window, click blah 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 menu. Close window. And you hear that little snap and it'll go right back to it. The feature that this one allows is dictation as well. So I'm typing or talking and it's waiting for me. But look at that. It's just basically thinking about it. Yeah, so now that I've given it time to catch up, and you can see basically just hit enter after everything. Keep talking your story. And at any given time, you can tell it to stop listening because I've had to undo several times because I was highlighting text or trying to change something, and it was obviously kept trying to type and talk. So it's not going to understand when you're moving the mouse or keyboard really not to pay attention. It's just going to try to type wherever there's a cursor, and it doesn't matter the application. It could be a text document, the notes application, even a website, Google search through Spotlight or Chrome. Wherever there's a cursor, it will type what you say. So it works just like any other text-to-speech or speech-to-text. It will not get certain things. I was actually having a conversation with somebody, and I wanted to look up the lemur primate thing. The animal with the long finger that pulls grubs out of tree stumps. Anyways, I'm sitting there and I'm trying to say primate, lemur, and I'm typing this to Google, and it's just, it's obviously trying to do EYE or just the letter I, and of course, I'm searching Google for, a couple of tries here trying to figure it out, and of course, I is AYE. So it's voice to speech or voice to text. It's no differently than trying to send a text message through your Siri Apple microphone. It's gonna mess up. It's gonna it's gonna make some pretty wild responses sometimes. Have fun with it. No, yes, technology is not perfect, but you can get the majority of it done. So we'll get back into the story here. Idea is, where did I start in graphics design? I've been asked several times, where did I start in graphics design? And probably the earliest memory that I have is back living in Americus, Georgia, and we were. My grandmother was helping with the church bulletin. She was the church secretary, and she would help put together the bulletin. And eventually, they, kind of got her some equipment to actually be in her home so that she could do it while she was at the house. And it was a old Brother word processor with a monitor. Nothing really fancy, nothing really special, but it was a word processor. You didn't actually have to physically type the pages. It had a little screen. You'd input the words on it, and then you could make your spell checks, corrections. And when you print, it wasn't like a normal printer either. It was more of a typewriter with a ribbon. But pretty much what you saw on screen is when you hit print, it would actually print it just like that. It had print margins and all that fun stuff for the normal word processors. But yeah, it was easy enough to go into that particular word processor and type, continuing advancing in that. Yeah, development started shortly after the graphics design, so I think that's how I got into graphics design. Anyways, I know that this long process, and I'm going to go ahead and turn off now voice control, and I can make him stop listening. Yeah, so I think that's how I got into graphics design. So we're going to do that, and I mean, look, it filled 8 pages. I know I talk a lot, and I've been told I talk too much, but I can tell a good story. But what you'll see here is that everything is compressed together. Excuse me. And, I could go through here and read this. I could. I could. But I don't want to. I don't want to. Who would? I'm not a wordsmith. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save it. And, yep. And so what I'll do is just, I'll start my design folder, and I'll just stay, how I became a graphics designer. Okay, great. And we'll name this transcribed audio. I always make a source folder just because I know that was the original. If I ever need to tweak it, edit it, or whatever, I'll save it out of the source file into another directory. It just helps me stay a little bit more organized, knowing what and where things came from. So now, I'm going to talk to ChatGPT. Oh, look, he's telling me how to copy and paste his instructions. This is very kind of him. Well, we're going to start a new one. And we're going to just talk to him. I have a document of I remember getting into computers and art for the first time in my life. It then follows a bit of my professional time in the fields and how I unite my passions for good layouts and photography. It's a long, long document. How do you want me to send it to you? And so we just asked ChatGPT, and yes, I treat him like a human. Only reason why I treat him like a human, and it just makes sense to me, is I'm kind to everybody. At least when the computers revolt, maybe he'll remember me. So he says I can upload the document here and he'll review it. Great. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go to my, put it in designs, and my source, and right there. Please correct spellings and grammar, as I tend to miss those a lot. Try not to change the length just yet. I want as much of the real story in play as possible. Bam! What has he done? What is he doing? Oh, he's telling me something, huh? Let's pop him out of frame here. You can kind of tell I've been using him to do all kinds of cool stuff. Alright, so... Okay, so he popped it out and he's... Okay, he's writing and he's rewriting it and looks like he's got good stanzas, paragraphs. I'm sure he's... You know, he's got his commas, his paragraphs. Yep, he's making sure the words are all spelled out properly. I like how he's giving sentences here, and I'll have to go through and of course read this, but you know, for the most part, he's correcting that audio garbage. And I mean, I'm not going to say garbage, but he's correcting all the spelling errors and all the words that might not make sense. So there he goes. He's like, oh, I've completed the spelling and grammar while preserving the original storytelling and length. Let me know if you need any restatements or additional adjustments. So he's really happy about that. So what we'll do is we'll copy that. I'm going to create a new document. I'm going to paste. Well, that's not what I wanted. So I was playing with an ASCII generator, because as I talked about the ASCII computers, I was like, what do those look like nowadays? You know, I was making boxes and boxes and boxes, and now they got web pages that can do my same ASCII art for my paper route. It's just a Chrome app, and I even found the typewriter that it worked on, and this was the exact thing. My brother's like, why are you asking for this? Are you looking for nostalgia or, you know, antiquated technology? Are you antique shopping? And I'm like, no, I just wanted a picture of the thing. It just had basic keys, you know, so it was interesting, and it used that ribbon style of typewriter too, so you can see the actual type head in there and the spindle with all the letters. That was it. Anyways, I'm like, yeah, it's just trying to find out what the thing is. But yeah, it was all that stuff. Anyways, I create a new document. Make sure I actually copy it this time, because apparently the copy button didn't work. Copy. Paste. There it goes. Alright, so... Oh, wow. Now, see, of course, I would like to know how it went from 8 pages to 3. So we need to talk to him again, don't we? So while he replies, I'll just look at this real quick. This is 12-point font Times New Roman, and so is this. So that makes me wonder what's missing from this. Not too sure what else he would have left out. Um, see what he says. The reduction is likely due to formatting differences such as this. Grammar and structure, paragraph formatting, font. Would you like me to keep formatting closer to the original in terms of spacing, or do you prefer it in a more standard streamline? Well, we'll talk about it for now. That's fine for now. I need to review it. And just make sure I name this something so I can... well, I actually did a pretty good job. Graphics Design Journey. I'll stick with that one. But now I can refer back to this and he'll kind of remember where we were starting and how different it is. So now, if I'm trusting what he came back with, then what I can do is, once I read this, now I can, have this added to a profile online. I might even go through it and condense it even more. And I can, once again, use ChatGPT to do that. And be like, so now I want a 1000 char summary using some of the cute stories, but keep it professional, please. And so he'll come back and there's a 1000 character summary. So right there, let's see if how close he got to his 1000 mark. I'll copy that and put it into a text editor. It gives me a little bit more. And he's, so 996. He kept it pretty clean. Alright, so if I wanted to, I could now put that in my LinkedIn, and let's read this one just to see. My journey into graphics design in my childhood, helping my grandmother create church bulletins using an old brother word processor. Without digital clip art, we manually cut and tape designs, sparking my creativity. This early exposure led me to experience with ASCII art, mapping my paper route before tools like Google Maps existed. My passion for design grew as I refined my drawing skills, eventually merging them with digital photography and Photoshop. I worked in magazine publish, handling layouts and ad designs, and later collaborated with professional photographers, optimizing their workflows. One notable project involved composing a PT Cruiser into a stadium background for an ad, showcasing my photo manipulation skills. Over time, I expanded into web development, blending creativity with technology. My career has been defined by efficiency, adaptability, and a love for visual storytelling, a passion that began with a simple church bulletin and a roll of Scotch tape. That's cool. That's not bad. Not the words that I would always choose, because once again, I am speaking it, and you can even tell when I'm reading stuff, I tend to add words where words don't need to be done. And, that's just because I need to read it once or twice to actually hear the flow of it before I just start typing. Just like any good public speaker, he's going to have notes. Well, this would be, if I could turn that into a bulletin list. And matter of fact, ChatGPT, give me a good summary bullet list of everything from the original document. Oh, see? And so now, look, he's gone through and I've asked for everything. Everything. So every little anecdotal story that I said on that document, he's gone through and let's see what he's done. Here's a structured bulleted list. So early beginnings and first exposure to graphics design. Introduced to graphics design through grandmother creating church bulletins. Used older brother word processor with monochrome screen and a typewriter style printer. Clip art that sourced from printed books. Photocopied, resized, cut, and taped manually. Early computer and ASCII experimentations. Characters to create simple maps for paper route. Used symbols like dashes and underscores to simulate road curves. Created delivery maps making customer locations for newspaper subscriptions. Yeah, and that's how I upsold to the ones that didn't. Developing artistic skills, passion for drawing origami and creating work is encouraged by my family, so I always had that stuff. Paint and ping ink shading techniques for cross thatching by my grandmother. And if I was public speaking, I could speak and elaborate on any of those points. And I'm sure like I was speaking before, I can elaborate onto those into great detail. I enjoyed the processes, and I remember quite a bit of wonderful little nuggets of how to do things and how to create graphics design, all from just sitting down and watching my grandmother and helping how I could. And the funny thing is, my grandmother's a registered nurse. She never really was a graphics designer, but she was the church secretary, and that's how she gave her volunteer time. She enjoyed doing it and taught me. So yeah, using AI, using voice-to-speech registration, and everything else directly through just ChatGPT. Of course, don't just post anything. Good grief, I've had to tell people 1,000 times, if this thing is actually going to, write out your skill sets, or write out your resume, or write out your bio or summary, don't just believe it. To read it, correct it, run it through the next revision, correct it, run it through the next revision. It's like having an English professor right there all the time. If you don't like words, you can actually say, hey, I'm not a big fan of this word. Is there another way we can word that? ChatGPT will go through and offer sentences that are variations of that. You get to know your material before you just send it out. And really, for resume building and things like that, create the bulk of your meat, create all of it through whatever your voice recognition software might be. This is an Apple. This is just something known as an accessibility plugin. It's voice control. He's still listening to me right now, so I'll turn it off. And that way you'll have... and look at that, I misspelled audio, didn't I? Nope, that was fine. Okay. Either way. But that's how you can quickly turn your words into resumes and use that content in everything that you start to publish. Everybody online is doing it. Matter of fact, probably half the stuff that you read, if not more, is probably generated from AI. I just hope that somebody's actually out there being responsible and at least reading it. I can tell you this, captions on videos on YouTube, it does the auto caption stuff. It doesn't look like anybody's proofreading that. So just know that, audio to text is one thing. It's going to mess up. Well, text from audio messes up just as much. But at least this way it's quick, it's easy, and you can have fun with it. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope this video helps somebody.